bull trade, and everything actually did come to pass as I had said it would. All we had to do was wait a little while. So I wanted to show you that trade and show you the what I consider to be a perfect trade. And there's a few nuances to get when you're trading this particular thing. So I want to show you that, and this is pretty much how the auto trading is going to go down. This is what the auto trading is pretty much based on. So let me show you this particular trade. The person at PTG is Peter Lee. Peter Lee at PTG. So let me show you this, and I just have gold up here because we'll look at some other contracts as well, but I just have this one up for the moment, and it's a very specific trade. Now I'm going to tell you right now, with this particular trade, you have to be patient. It's a particular setup that I'm looking for, but when it happens, you're going to make money generally. I mean, there's no 100%, as we know. There's nothing that's 100%. But you'll often see this thing take off with almost no drawdown. And the reason is because when this particular setup happens, pretty much all of the traders do the same thing. There are traders who are 1-minute traders, there are traders who are 3-minute traders, and there are traders who are 5-minute traders. Those are the primary categories of traders in the marketplace. There are some people who trade off the 15-minute, but not that much. Primarily it's 1, 3, and 5. The 1-minute traders are scalpers, and the 3 and the 5 are more trend traders. When all the trader types agree on the direction, you get that big momentum thrust right away, and that's where the money is made. The rest of it is kind of peters out. The beginning of that cycle is where you get the 3 groups all saying, yes, I want to trade up or I want to trade down, whatever the direction is. But they're all in unison, they're all combined. And because of that, what ends up happening is that you have almost no drawdown in the opposite direction. And you can get filled in your trade in a jiffy, real fast. So I'm going to show you that setup and what we're looking for, so you'll understand where we're going and how auto trading is basically looking for the same thing. There's some basic rules, and not many rules, but all the rules have to be in place. And if they're not in place, it doesn't work. And you're going to take some chances. But if they are in place, and you wait and you're patient, you're going to see exactly what you want. So these are the little rules that we have. So the first rule is for the 1, the 3, and the 5, all 3 MACDs must align. Now what I mean by that is they either have to be above the center line or below the center line. All 3. So for example, if you look at it right now, you see that gold, the 1-minute gold is above the center line. The 3-minute is below the center line, and the 5-minute is at the center line. There's no trade. You'd sit on your hands. They're not aligned. Don't want to talk about it, don't want to see it, wouldn't work. Okay? So that's a good example of where you couldn't get in. Now if I move this back a little, here at earlier at 1900 hours, right? Well, now if you look at this, now you can see the 5, the 3, and the 1, they're all in sync. Everybody has the same idea. We want to short. We want to sell, right? And that's what we're looking for. And that's the difference. So if you take a look, so here's a cell, and here's a cell. Well, look at how that thing just came running back down, right? And if you notice, no drawdown. You see how smooth that is? And it just came crashing down. Everybody was in sync. Here's the 3 minute, did the exact same thing, came running back down. And here's the 1 minute, same thing, came running back down, right? Now, conversely, let me move forward here. Now look, now we have this guy coming down, this guy flat, and this guy going up. And look at the difference. You see how it's all very whipsawish? One's up, one down, up, down. Not so, you don't want to trade this because it's ugly. I mean, that's just ugly trading. But when you compare it to this, huge difference. So as long as the 3 MACDs are in sync, what we're saying is that the 1 minute, the 3 minute, and the 5 minute traders are all agreed of the direction. And that's the difference. So that's your first rule. All MACDs align, above the center line or below the center line. Doesn't matter, so long as they're all in sync. Right? So that's number one. Number two, stows. Now, one of the keys to this is that the 3 stows, the 20, the 50, and the 100, have all gone to the extreme, either above 80 or below 20, depending on which direction. Why that's important is because it means that they've finished their cycle. They've finished. Whatever that cycle was, whatever the direction is, they finished. It's over. And if you take a look, like here, we had all the stows at the top. Let's bring this back. We had all the stows at the top. Come back over here. All the stows at the top, right? What that means is they have finished that direction. That cycle is over. What's important is that all of them be in sync. Now, where we left off at 2 o'clock, the class at 2 o'clock, we left off at about 4 o'clock, right? Which was here. And I said to everyone, this trade isn't done yet. It's not done. It's not finished. It's messy. And it was messy. See how messy it is. But I said, wait till this evening and you'll see it'll all align again and it'll start fresh. And so we left off the class at this point where that stow was, that third stow, which is the blue one, the 100 stow, hadn't finished anything. But then I was watching it afterwards and it did come back up, went all the way back up, and now it's time for it to come back down. So it did everything I said it was going to do. It was going to finally finish a cycle and then start its new cycle to come back down. Here's the same thing with the 3 stows over here. All came back down. 3 stows over here. Now, you may, you might come in, let's say you're looking at this, right? Let's say you log in and you look at this situation right here. And all the stows are not at the top or they're not at the bottom. You may have to go back, if you miss it, you may have to go back and see where were those stows. Oh, well, if I go back, guess what? They were all at the top at some point. They weren't at the bottom, they were at the top. And so therefore, I know that they're still coming down. Now, it may take them some time, especially in the evening time. It tends to run a bit slower. It may take some time, but at least I know where they were. So you always want to find this. You may have to scroll back in the chart and find where the start of the cycle was, where the last time they were all together. Were they all together at the top or at the bottom? So you get an idea of where those trades are and where the overall direction is going. So if you can't see that they're all fisted together, right? If you can't see it, then scroll back and find where it was last, at the top or at the bottom. So you'll know which direction overall this thing is going. Is the cross of the MACD important or just the direction? Right now, the only thing I care about is that all three MACDs are above or below. That's all I really care about. And I'll show you what else you have to know, so you'll eventually see how it all works together. So everybody understand about the three stows, and it's on all three charts, right? Now what's key about this is, if obviously the 1 minute chart is going to be that much faster, and its cycle is going to be that much faster than the 5 minute. But what you'll find is that until that 5 minute chart's 100 stow completes, it's going to be very choppy. You may be lucky, you may be able to get in and get out, you may be able to scalp, but it probably is going to be short-lived and choppy. Whereas if they're all bunched together, if they're all fisted together, and you find that spot, whoosh, they're all going to like come down in a flurry or go up in a flurry, because everybody's in agreement of the direction that the market should go. The MACD, yeah, I care about the blue line on the MACD, exactly, that blue line. Right? And if you're using my shaded MACD, it makes it real easy to see, are we above or below? Now the next thing, number 3, once you see that all the stows have gone in some direction, above or below, the next thing you got to watch for is the slope. You've got to make sure that the stow 20, which is the black guy, the black one, has sloped in the direction that you think it should. So if it's above 80, we want it to start sloping down. Now, can you see how it flattens out? Here it is at the very top, and the stow flattens out. But suddenly it starts to slope down. And once it starts sloping down, look what then happens. So we're watching for a slope on the stow. We're watching for that. Right? So that's important to see a slope. Okay? We want to get that going so we know the direction that it's going to go. If it's above the center line, you're going short. That's correct. Now, number 4, we're going to talk about the HMA. So you can see the HMA, it's the red and green colored lines, right? The HMA. Now, the HMA has to turn color on the 1 minute chart. So if you notice, we go back here, here's where it was going up, there's the color change on the 1 minute chart from red to green, from green to red, right? Before it starts its run back down. Red to green. Excuse me. Green to red. Gotta be. Now, especially if you're trading crude oil with this strategy and it's still green, no can do. You'll almost invariably have losses. The crude oil traders really live by this HMA. So don't try to trade independent of it. You will not be happy. Make sure it has changed in your direction. That's really critical. It's a 14 HMA. That's right. That's what the default is, and that's what they all use. Right? And now, last point, very important point, and that is following the HMA. when the HMA on the 3-minute chart, when it finally touches the price bar and turns, I should say, and turns, you're ready to rock and roll on the 1-minute chart. So I'm going to show you this. So if you notice, here comes this is the 3-minute chart, right here. And if you notice, the HMA is going up, 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 and finally it's ready to turn, right? MACD isn't ready to turn, is it? That's still up there. MACD doesn't show you any sign that it's going to stop. But finally, we see a turn on the HMA, and we come down, and the HMA is now at the point that it's ready to touch the price, right? Ready to touch. So here we go, and it finally does. I'm going to let me expand this so you can see it even better. It's turned, and now it finally is reaching that price, right? See it reaching the price? So now if we look at this, so this is at 18, whatever that is, 1857. Okay, we finally have a touch right there. They're touching. Now I don't care if it touches the high, the low, or the body. I don't care. Just so long as it's right there. So 1857, well, if we come over here to 1857 on the 1-minute chart, right, here's your 1857, 1858. Notice it starts to really descend. See how fast it just comes crashing down, right? If we go to the 5-minute chart, where do we catch up with the price? We catch up with the price about 1905. Well, if we look at 1905 over here, look what happens. Look at that thing just collide. Look at that. And that went from 43.5 to 42. So that's 15 ticks in 9 minutes. Just zoom, 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 zoom. And no drawdown. Just straight down. Straight down. And this is 1900 hours. I mean, we're talking about the evening time. But that's because all of the traders were in sync. So you can either trade the 1 and the 3 like that, or you can trade the 3 and the 5, whichever one you want to do. It's totally up to you. But if you're looking for the start of that, you're waiting for all the stows to have gone to the top. You're waiting for all the MACDs to be aligned. And then you're waiting for the HMA to catch up to the price and turn. And then you're going to see the thing take off. So it's a little premature from the MACD cross. MACD cross would be more latent. I mean, that would be way over here at 1906-ish. Still an excellent trade. I mean, still nothing to sneeze at. But we really found it a little bit earlier right here at 1903, which is like right here, instead of 1906. So we were about 3 minutes early from where the MACD actually crosses. By just watching that HMA, making sure the HMA is now the red, in this case, the red color, and making sure that we had come from all the stows being at the top. And so the amount of drawdown, very, very, very little. It's just instant fill, right? Does it matter that the HMA 1 minute changed to green for a few minutes? It doesn't matter because, why? Because everything else is telling you it's coming down. So don't get faked out by a really short-lived green HMA. Don't do that. Those are fake outs. That's really a fake out. because you really can see the MACD is coming down. Look at the divergence on that MACD as it heads towards the center line, and look at the thing just plummet. So yeah, they're going to try to fake you out with a couple of bars, and then boom, they're going to go in the direction. And they'll continue to go in that direction until the 100 STO has finally touched down. They'll continue to go there, right? Now let's take a look at some other examples of this. We'll go earlier. Let's see. I showed the one. Let's just do a different instrument instead of this one. Let's do something different. We'll do the. We'll do. Let's see. We'll do crude oil. That's fine. So if you take a look at right now, look at crude oil. You see how all these STOs are pretty. We don't even know where these STOs are right this minute. Let's go and see where we can find an alignment here. There it is. So this would be like 1230 would be an alignment on the crude oil. So let's go look at 1230 on the 3-minute. And we definitely have an alignment there, right? And if we come back at 1230 over here, oops. So you can see the same thing. So there's your 1230 run. And if we look at 1230, we've caught up with the price. There's the price catch and the turn at 1233. And we're over here, and you can see that this thing is turning down. And then if we look at 1230 over here, same thing, it eventually comes all the way down. So we found the spot at which everything aligned, all the STOs are in place, everything's at the top, and eventually we did notice that it did come down. So that is what you want to look for, and these are really good trades. I mean, let's see. I can show you the euro. This is actually the Forex euro. I have the Forex euro here. Let's see what it looks like this evening. So right now, we did have an alignment. We had this on, but let's see earlier. Let's see. Okay, so here's 1730, right? There's 1730 on the 1-minute, and there's 1730 on the 3-minute. See if those all had gone. Yeah, that had all gone to the top, and this had gone to the top. There's your turn. There's your touching right there. It touches at 1725 and turns, and look at the thing just crash down, right? There you go. Absolutely exactly what you're looking for. That was 1730. Look at 1730. Let's see. It turned right here and touched at 1730. Well, here's 1730, and look at that. What a beautiful trade that is. Just went straight down. Right? So, doesn't matter which instrument you're using. All the traders out there are doing the same thing. They're running off those HMAs. And when all three, the 1, the 3, and the 5-minute traders, when all three have decided to go in the same direction, then you get some really hot trades. We're not concerned so much about the runaway STO. Well, as long as, here's the thing about the runaway STO, as long as that 5-minute is still coming down, we're okay. The 1-minute will cycle up and down. Absolutely. It's going to cycle up and down. We know that. But as long as we know that the 5-minute's still coming down, we're okay. Now, I'm showing you this for trend trading, right? For scalpers, for those of you who just want to scalp some ticks and get out of there as soon as you can, you're going to want to trade off the 1 and the 3, and then as soon as that 1, as soon as the 3 stops and touches the price, you're going to want to go scalp your 1 minute chart. So you won't really care. What you're going to see is that stow take off in your direction real fast. That stow 20 is going to take off in your direction if you're interested in scalping a few ticks instead of being in the whole trend. If you want to stay in the trend, if you're a real trend trader and you want to stay in the trend, just keep following that 100 stow. At what point do you exit the trade? Totally up to you, depending on whether you're a scalper or a trend trader, right? If you're a trend trader, you're going to stay with that 100 stow. The HMA touching the price. So can you see, for example, right here at 1712, can you see that the HMA has touched that price right there? See it touching? See, it's at the price right there. That's what you want. It happens to be at the high of the bar, right at the top there. That's okay. I get nothing on it. It doesn't matter to me if it's the high, the low, or somewhere in the middle. The point of it is you can't take it like here while it's still going up. If here's 1700, right? So watch. So watch what happens. Look at this. So here's 1700. Here's 1703, and we're still going up. The HMA hasn't arrived yet. It's still going up. Well, look what happens. Look at this huge bar right there. Can you see it? That long doji. It went from 83 to 79. See that long doji? So that's because we weren't ready for changing the direction yet. We weren't ready. So you got drawdown here. Thing ran up all the way from, it ran up from 82 to 85 and then crashed from 85 down to 79. So you got drawdown right here. But once it hits that change on the 3-minute chart, now the 1-minute chart comes straight down. Oops. Now the 1-minute chart's coming straight down. So that's the difference, and you don't experience that drawdown. Because if you look at, here's where it came down, right? At 1712, and whoops, got to go back here. And look, we have almost no drawdown. We don't have that big monster bars, right? It just came running back down. So that's kind of the difference in trading these units. If you want to just watch for and get the less drawdown, make sure that these guys are in sync. Now, if you want to do it on the 5-minute, there it is where it touched. Again, then you can trade the 3-minute. You can go over to 1730, and you'll see the same thing, right? Because you had the touching on that 5-minute chart. It touched. So then you're okay for the 3-minute chart. Again, if you're going to be a 3-minute chart trader, understand things move slower than the 1-minute chart, right? So hang in there. Don't get scared if it moves slower and you're in the trade longer. I mean, that's what you're attempting to do for trending, right? I mean, this is not scalping. The 3 and the 5 combo like that, that's not a scalp. That's a trend. You follow the 100 stow on which chart after you enter the trade? What you want to do is you want to watch the 5-minute, because until it really finishes its cycle, chances are you're not going to get where you want to be. Me personally, I like to take these trades at the beginning. I like to take the trades right at the beginning where I see they're all fisted together. When I see them all fisted together like this, I'm very happy. If I see all 3 fisted at exactly the same spot, boy, I'm jumping. because now I know I've got a great trade. Like, let's see, this is 1627. Let's go back. Yeah, see, look at that. 1, 2, and let's see, 16. Yeah, look at that. Can you see what happened? So you've got here at 1630, here's 1627, and here's 1620 and 22 and so. But look what happens. Look at the trade that you get out of that. Can you see it? And literally, I mean, the thing just plummets. And why? Because everything is at the top. Everything is all set to come back down. And that's the euro. And that's, 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm not even showing you prime trading times. I mean, that's 4:30 in the afternoon. And it's all aligned. It's all perfectly aligned, ready to go. Right? That's a hot trade. Let's see if it goes the other way. Here's another one. Let's see, 1525. Let's see. Nope, couldn't do that one because it's not done. And look what happened. Here's the 1 minute chart at 1525. This is a good example. So the 1 minute chart at 1525 is all the way at the top. But if we look at the 3 minute chart, right, and you'd swear, oh, we're going to come back down now, right? Because it's all the way at the top. But we come over here at 1525, and what do we see? Well, at 1525, yeah, we came down a little, but look at how short-lived it was. And why? Because the 100 Stowe had not finished its whole run. And so look at how much more it had to go. And finally, now the 100 Stowe is all the way at the top, and now look what happens. And now it comes crashing back down, right? So that's why I said to you, you watch that 100 Stowe. Here's another example on the 5 minute chart. Well, that's that time when the 1 minute chart was coming down, very short-lived, but the 5 minute chart said, no, I'm not finished yet. And look, it just ran all the way back up until it hit above 80. So I watched the 5 minute chart and the 3 minute chart, watch those 100 Stowes to tell you whether that 1 minute chart is a scalp trade or a true trend trade. If it's a true trend trade, it'll be because the 100 Stowes have finished on the 1, on the 3, and the 5. It's a scalp trade on the 1 minute if these guys haven't finished their whole cycle yet. So that's what you watch for. The 100 Stowe is the blue one. The blue one. Our NG and 6E, well, this is 6E. This is the Forex side of the 6E, but the chart is identical. So for the short, you want the HMA to touch the top part of the candle, and the long, you want it to touch the bottom. It doesn't really matter. It could touch the body as long as it's there. It's at the price. It can't be away from the price like it is here, moving straight up. You can't be doing this and trying to go short because you're going to lose, right? But once it hits that price and then turns, right? And then turns like here at 1635, well, that's going to send this guy straight on back down as well. So that's the hot trade. The 1 minute leads the others. That's right. So if you're going to do the 1 minute, if you're going to trade on the 1 minute, then you want to have at 1526, then you want to have the 3 minute do the turn and then trade on the 1 minute. That's okay. You can do all of that. That's fine with me. I have nothing on it. Right? Just make sure that if you're going to scalp, you don't care so much about the 5 minute 100 Stowe. But if you're going to do a trend trade, wait till they're all in sync. And then you're going to get the full benefit of that trend trade. You can get the whole run. And then maybe you only have to do 1 or 2 trades a day if you can get that. Somebody wanted to see the NG side. Now, as you know, NG doesn't trade fabulously at nighttime, so we're going to have to go back. And again, this is Thursday, so NG gets kind of funny on, but let's see what happened at the 2 o'clock reversal here. Okay, there's 2 o'clock, and we'll come back to 2 o'clock. Okay, so now what we see at the 2 o'clock reversal, right? Again, at 2 o'clock, it would look like the Stowe 20 on the 1 minute chart. I don't know about that. So we had to go back to see where it came from. And sure enough, what do we see? Well, it actually came from below, and it hasn't finished its cycle yet at 2 o'clock. It's still going. So everything's in sync at 2 o'clock. All the MACDs below the center line. Perfect. Right? All of them fisted together. Those Stowes are all fisted together. Perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. Look at the 5 minute chart. Look at the thing go straight up. That's your 2 o'clock reversal. No drawdown. Okay, there's no drawdown here. That went from, actually went from 75 up to 5. So that's 30 ticks. And, you know, well, we had one little bit of drawdown there, but that was it. I mean, otherwise it just went straight up. And that's a perfect trade. I mean, that's exactly what you're looking for, right? Do you still have to figure in scheduled news trades? Absolutely. News will always distort everything. Can't, you know, can't rely on news trades. Absolutely. Got to be careful of those. Is this a criteria for the auto trader? A lot of this is part of the auto trader, exactly. You need to remember when the FOMC minutes come out. You always have to watch the forexfactory.com. Always check that every day before you trade, so you'll know when news is coming out. Got to check that. Got to check that, right? Can I show the quant on these? Sure. We'll look at 2 o'clock on this one. You're going to see exactly the same thing. Let's take the so here's your 5 minute chart, and here's 2 o'clock. There's your number 1, and there's the same trade. Quant had it identified just like we have it identified. Exactly the same. Because the criteria on that, on the Segredo is all this. It's all this. It's what that's how we developed it. So it's all that. Based on that HMA and the Stowes and the MACDs aligning. So that's why it's going to be the same thing. I'm showing you what we go through to figure out, do we get a number 1? So the HMA color change needs to be green to go long and red to go short on the 5 or the 3. Well, if you get that, it's going to be a huge benefit for you, isn't it? And if you look at this, okay, that's the 5 minute. Let's look at the 3 minute at 2 o'clock. And there it is again. So there's your, whoops, went too far on that one. There it is again. So take a look. There's your number one again coming in at 2 o'clock. Then this is the 3 minute. So everything's in sync. And then if you look at the 1 minute chart for 2 o'clock, and there it is. There's your number one coming in. And look at that, straight on up, right? So same. So everything was in sync. You got the number ones on the 2 o'clock. And you look at the Ninja Trader, and everything is aligned perfectly. And there's your 30 ticks. So you can stay in. Now, you obviously are not going to stay in for all 30 ticks, but maybe you could have gotten 10 ticks out of that. And you'd have been very happy. You know, on a couple of, and remember with NG, you know, the margin is, you know, roughly $500. So you do 2 or 3 contracts, do 2 contracts, and you get 10 ticks, you're up $200 in just a few minutes. You're in great shape, right? So that's alignment. That's when all the traders trade in the same direction. Which candle would you enter on in the Ninja? Depending on which contract you're looking at. Are you looking to scalp, or are you looking to go trending? If you're looking to scalp, right, then you'd want to get in on this changeover here, right, at 1403. Well, at 1403, we're over here, and there you go. And if you're looking to do more trending, you might wait till the 5 minute takes off, which is 1405. If you look at 1405, well, you're right in here, and that one takes off. And even if you just did this first leg, you know, that's 84 to 93, 94. So there's your 10 ticks right there. So let's look at another, and I'm showing you that this is true for, and it doesn't really matter which contract you're looking at, right? It doesn't make any difference. Let's look at the ES. ES has been up all day today. Look, it was up 14 points. That's because it's the end of the year, and as you know, they only have two more weeks of shopping before their bonuses come in. So then they have to trade and run the market up as fast as they can, so they can then get their huge bonus. They're going to get a huge bonus this year, right? Let's see. I don't know if we can do the ES today. Now, some days, as you know, like today, because of news, then the ES was distorted and wasn't the technical market at all. So when it's not a technical market, then it's hard to trade it. So there was some news this morning, and you know, they were looking for a reason to run the market up because it's been down for the last couple of days. So it was not a technical market today on ES, so it wouldn't have worked. Wouldn't have worked. Let's look at ZN. I think we saw it on ZN. I think I saw it today on ZN. Let's see. Okay, so let's look at 1230. There it is on the 3 minute. Back at 12:30. And there it is on the 1 minute. So there's the crossover. There it is right there. There's your crossover. You've already hit that price, and you've started to cross over at 12:42. Look at 12:42, and it starts to, it's a little bit latent. Again, this is ZN. There it is. This one had a little bit of a whipsaw in it before it did come all the way down. And if we look at 12, and then if we look over here at 12:50, so at 12:50, which is right in here, this one had no whipsaw at all. So the 3 minute and the 5 minute had no whipsaw whatsoever. You can see them nicely coming down, right? Look at that. Nicely coming down. Now, one thing I do notice too, if we go back to gold for a second, one thing else I've noticed on these two is that when they start to make a decision as to the direction, a lot of times what you'll see is a surge in the actual bar. You'll see a big surge as they go higher and higher. Like, if you notice, we're now coming up to, can you see this? This is almost hit the top, right? On the 1 minute. This is live. This is real time. So we've almost hit the top, back to 80 on the 100 stow on the 5 minute chart. We're already there on the 3 minute, and we're already there on the 1 minute. Now, can you see? This is a good example of this. Now watch this, because this is live, and so you get to see it better. Now, can you see how the HMA on the 3 minute chart has not arrived yet? Can you see it? We're not touching yet, right? We're still going up. We're not touching yet. So we wouldn't quite be ready on this to go short. Close. I mean, we'd be sitting there going, okay, any second here we're going to be ready to go short. But we're not there yet. Because why? Because this HMA is still below that price. See it? So it's still going up. And notice this is still going up. So we're still going higher. See? So we are not ready to short yet. This is a good example of what I'm showing you. So had you gone short, you would have already taken a loss, right? But we're not ready yet to take that. So we're going to watch this, because this is perfect, because we're going to see this. But you see how close now? See how close the HMA is to the price? And that third stow is just about to reach the top. But can you see the surge you're getting right at the end here? Now we're just about ready to go short. Just about. Not yet. Everything's in alignment. We've got all the stows at the top. Stow here's at the top. Stow at the top. Just about have this at the top. All the MACDs are at the top. HMA, we're just waiting for it to catch up. This is where you sit on your hands. You put all your attention on this, because you know it's going to happen any second. We're already starting to see a wick coming in, so you know they're having difficulty running it any higher, right? And we're just probably at the next bar, we'd be ready to go short. So tick tock, we're just sitting on our hands waiting for this. This was very nice of them to give me this example for you, real time, so we don't have to worry about it. It's what's nice about being a licensed broker. I'm allowed to show you real-time stuff, and all the other people are like, they're not licensed, they can't show you real time, but I'm licensed, so I can show you real time. Okay, so we're getting close. We're still hanging on, we're waiting for that. But you can see how close that HMA is. All right, so now watch. Here it comes. Could you have been in a long trade and getting out? Absolutely, you could have. What the data feed is for this one? Well, this one I think is, let's see, I have two data feeds running right now. I have the CQG and I also have the kinetic data feed running. So I actually have two of them running. The 100's not quite finished on the 1 minute chart, on the 5 minute chart. That's right. See? So we're having a little bit of a difficulty. See? See, we're having just a little difficulty. And here comes, okay, so now you can see we're getting the red HMA on the 1 minute chart. Watch it surge back a little higher. It'll probably go up just a little bit. But can you see why I said to you, you had to wait for the 3 minute chart. You had to wait for the HMA to catch up to the price. See? This is why I told you, had you jumped in and not been patient, you would have taken a loss. You'd have lost a lot, right? See, you'd have lost because you'd have lost, you know, if you jumped in here thinking, oh, well, it's about ready to go, I'll just jump in. Well, now you'd have lost almost a point, almost 10 ticks. But by waiting for this, then, and you know it's going to change. I mean, it's not like you don't know it's going to change. You already see the circle with the dot. You have the nice long wick, so you know they're having difficulty going higher, right? Same thing on the 5 minute chart. You can see that they're having difficulty. So this is where you say to yourself, okay, do I want to be a scalper and do the 1 minute short, or am I going to wait now? And notice that the HMA has just about caught up with the 5 minute chart. See it? See the HMA is catching up with the 5 minute chart? And we're just about finished on that third stow. We have that slope on the stows on the 1 minute, but we don't have a slope on the 3 minute yet, do we? And notice how it it's going back up a little bit. See that? So we're not quite ready yet. Not quite. We're still seeing it. So now we have finally, the HMA has now caught up with the price on the 3 minute chart. Now look. Now we're starting to see this come down. And we're getting this one coming down as well. Can you see they're actually touching? See that price has finally touched the HMA. So now we're going to see this thing probably close the 1 minute chart gap. We have that slope now on the 3 minute chart, right? And notice that we're still not crashing down yet. Because what's the one thing that's still missing to make this a perfect trade? That one little element is still missing, isn't it? That 100 stow on the 5 minute chart is still not 100%, is it? So it's what I said, you could be looking at a scalp, but that true trend, you gotta sit there, and this is where it becomes a little tricky, because you want to say, oh, I'm gonna jump in, right? But we still have this little bug right here. And these ones sloped, that's nice, that's sloped, and that's sloped, but that's still pointing up. So what do we know? The whole cycle isn't finished yet. Now you can do a little scalp, I'm not saying you can't, and you might make a few bucks, but that whole cycle isn't quite finished. And when this finally does hit the top, then it'll be ready for the whole thing to come back down. So that's where sitting on your hands becomes a little bit tricky, because that you're just itching to go short, itching. And you gotta really think about it. Well, I didn't quite get all the elements. If I get all the elements, I'll be a real happy camper. Right now, I'm kind of happy, but I'm not totally happy. Right? See how it's still going higher? Because we're still missing that one element. Still waiting for that last stove to finish up this whole thing. That's what we're waiting for. And you know they're having difficulty. Look, we haven't gone higher than the highest point on that 5-minute chart. Look at the 3-minute chart. See how it's just kind of flattened out? So we know that there's a bug here. We know they're having difficulty going higher. We haven't seen the 3 minutes HMA flatten yet either. It's still kind of pointing up. And we're still waiting for this guy to finish its cycle. So this is where, as a trader, you know, you go have a cup of coffee and go, well, you know, I'm going to go play with my cats. I'm going to go have a cup of coffee, or I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. Let the dogs out, because I want to be patient, because I really do want to wait for the end of that cycle. Fix the Segredo. Let's see what the Segredo shows on this. Let's look at the 5-minute Segredo. That hasn't switched. That hasn't changed yet. Okay, so now we see that the HMA on the 5-minute chart has caught up to the price. See it? And boy, it would be real nice if that HMA on the 3-minute chart were to swap down. Wouldn't that be nice? And again, look at the time. You know, it's 9 o'clock at night. Well, gold doesn't trade very well at night. If this were during the day, of course, all of this would have already happened. So, you know, at nighttime like this, of course, you have to be more patient. But it gives you an idea of how you do it. I think now you can see, because I'm showing it to you real time. And here it comes. Finally, here it comes. Right? And look, now we see the HMA on the 3-minute chart did turn, and see that like sudden thrust, that sudden emotion that comes in right away. And why? Because all the traders have now decided, okay, this is the direction we want to go. And here it comes. Boom. Yeah, the 100 stove didn't quite make it. But again, it's because it's 9 o'clock at night. You know, that's why. But if you notice, did you see one thing? Nothing changed until the HMA on the 5-minute chart touched the price. And then it all just went boom. So By holding on, we stopped ourselves from having a bad trade. We just stopped ourselves. By waiting for that HMA to flip, we stopped ourselves from having gotten in too early and gotten a bad trade. And now we can have our nice short. Now you can have everything you wanted. Any chance you could scroll back to NG at on the 19th? No, I can't do that. Now remember, there are days when contracts trade abnormally. They're no longer technical markets. They are fundamental markets, like the ES today. When a contract is a fundamental market, don't trade it that day. Just don't go there. Don't trade it, because you can't win. It's very hard to make money in a fundamental market because you don't know what the true data is. You don't know when that is going to swap. You haven't got any idea. So don't trade it. Like today, I would not have traded the ES. Why? Because the whole day it was up 12, 15 points. It was never coming down. But it wasn't a technical market. It was a fundamental market. At 10:30 on Thursdays, I wouldn't trade NG. Why? It's a fundamental market. It's not a technical market. You're going to get slaughtered. Same thing 10:30 on Wednesdays with crude oil. You get slaughtered. So don't trade it. Don't trade when you see that there's a news item on Forex Factory. Don't trade that, because you'll get slaughtered. You know, maybe you'll make money. You might, and you might make money after the news is finished, and you know now it's closing the gap. That's an okay trade. But don't trade right before it or during that thing, because you'll probably get slaughtered. And now, you know, it used to be we could trade those you know bracket orders for the news. You can't trade those anymore. The HFTs have eliminated that completely. They totally eliminated that bracket order trade. I don't trade that anymore, because they whipsaw you to death, because they can. They're seeing, you know, they're seeing the order flow database, and they see where people's trades are sitting. They know those bracket orders, and those HFTs come in and they trade in milliseconds, and they take out your trade. They take out your bracket trade in a heartbeat. So I don't trade those anymore. You know, times have changed from when you could do that, from what the HFTs are doing now. So I don't go there anymore. It's just not a trade you can do. Now the only trade you can really do are these kinds of trades, where everything is in alignment. You know, that's your best trading opportunity now. Because when this happens, the HFTs actually trade in your favor. They don't trade against you. They actually help you. You get these huge spikes, but they're in your favor. They're not trading against you. So those are the ones I do now, because I go, look, you know, I've learned my lesson. I've been burned on these HFT trades. So I figured out, well, let's figure out a way that we can trade with the HFTs and not against them. And if you just wait until everything aligns, then the HFTs do come in and they give you these surges. Like right here, they give you the surges. Right? Yesterday at 10:20, Bernanke spoke and drove the markets down 20 ticks in a candle, but Forex didn't have him listed. How do you handle the move? You don't. I'm going to be honest with you. You don't. You don't. I mean, if it's an unscheduled news thing or it's a disaster or something, you don't. It's just part of trading. There's nothing you can do. I mean, I remember a trade that I was in once. The trade was in my favor. Everything was good. I was in the trade. I was holding on. And all of a sudden, I was down like 5 or 6 points. It was horrendous. I lost all this money. And why? because there was some construction noise in front of the Congress in Washington, D.C., and they thought it was a bomb. There's nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do. I just had a loss. And then as soon as I realized it was construction, it came right back. But I wouldn't have known that, so I had to take the loss, you know, not knowing what was going on. Unfortunately, things like that happen when you're trading, and there's nothing you can do. There is no stop guard for that. And so often those kinds of things, even if you put in a stop loss, it'll just go right past you. So I don't know how to fix those problems. I wish I did, but I have no idea how to fix those problems. HMA has to touch the bar and turns, meaning turns color or direction. Turns the direction. Can you see this turning? Can you see how that turned? Right? Right there, that 3-minute turn. See how it turned? That's what we're looking for, right? We're looking for that turn to tell you that that thing's going to come down. That's what we're looking for, is that turn. I'm not saying that it's nice when the 3-minute changes color and then you can trade the 1 minute off of that. Or when the 5-minute changes color and you can trade the 3-minute off of that. That's really sweet, because then you know for sure that you've got it. They're really going to make that change. That's really nice. Is this better than trading like a 1-minute chart? I still am doing a gap close. I'm still doing the gap closes. However, I'm adding additional confirmations for myself to do that with. But I'm still really doing the gap close. If you look at this change, well, you're really doing a 1-minute chart gap close. And if you look at this change, you're really doing a 3-minute chart gap close. So I'm still doing gap closes. I haven't changed that. I'm just adding some more confirmations. But I really haven't changed, and I'm still doing a gap close. Still the same trade, but I've added some more confirmations for myself so I don't get screwed. You know, I want to see those confirmations now. Now watch this guy come back down and close its gap. That's the next thing that'll happen. You'll still get that gap close. And I'll tell you, when I'm in a trade, I can, you know, I'm looking at this and I go, well, let's see. To close the 5-minute chart gap is 1244.1, right? Well, when I'm thinking about doing a gap close, I know where they're going to get to. I know they're going to finally close that. So if I wait for this to come all the way to the top, I know that they're going to close this. So I know how far I've got. I know I've got, like, now it's at 44.4, so I now know I've got 3 ticks. They're going to close this for sure. I mean, it's not an if statement. They always close. So I know I have just 2 ticks. So now I have 2 more ticks to go. So I always watch that to know how much I can do. So I'm still doing gap closes. I've just given myself more confirmations based on how the market has changed over the last couple of years. And now people are using this HMA more than they're using other things. So I go, okay, well, if you're going to use the HMA, fine, I'll use the HMA too. I don't care. Just tell me what game you're playing, and so I can play too. That's all I want to know. Do I consider the Stow above 80 to be a complete cycle? Yes, I do. I do. How does the auto trader handle the news or emergencies? Well, first of all, there are times when we're just not trading. You know, we know at times we can trade, and we're not going to be trading certain times. But if there's an emergency, we could get hurt just as much as anybody else, because it's still a robotic trade. I mean, you could still, you know, be in trouble. Which contracts are the best gap closers? Well, I love the gold, the crude oil, NG has never been very good about closing gaps. I don't really like NG, but crude oil and gold are really good for that. Does the tick data from Kinetic work as good as CQG? Well, the tick data from Kinetic is from DTNIQ, and that's good data feed. That's a good data feed, absolutely. It's as good as CQG. No problem about that. Absolutely the same. Is there any problem running the new version of Ninja? Not that I know of. Should be fine. Is there a way to predict the gap close of a 60-minute chart? It would be the same. It's just that you really have to think about whether or not you can stay in a trade for 60 minutes. I mean, that's the whole thing, without getting white hair. I mean, I don't know how you can do that. This is long enough as it is. 60 minutes would drive me, I don't know about you, but it would drive me crazy. The dash lines are the LR4 and 9. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But if you notice, have you noticed that I haven't really used them at all? I haven't even mentioned them to you? I haven't really mentioned those at all. What are the best times to trade crude oil? Crude oil and gold trade early in the morning. Now, remember, crude oil closes at 2 o'clock. So after 2 o'clock, it gets kind of nasty to trade crude oil. Gold pretty much trades round the clock. But, at night like this, it does get slow. It just gets slow. So if you're patient, you can trade it. But it's going to be slow, I'm going to tell you. If you use the Vanguard, do they charge for Ninja? Well, Ninja charges for Ninja. And remember, you have to. It turns right there at 2018. So there's your 2018. See it right in here. It came running back down. And then this one turns, and it's touching here at 2035. And look at that. Not right in there. Jeez. That 3-minute trade was beautiful, wasn't it? Because you're right in here. When it turns, here, it turned. So that went from, let's say, 42 down to 31. 11 ticks. On the Aussie dollar. That's a great trade. 11 ticks. That's perfect. That was absolutely perfect. That's exactly what you're looking for, right? All the MACDs at the top, all the stows fisted together above, HMA's turn and touch, and then came crashing down with just one bar of drawdown. That was it, just one bar. Aussie dollars, $10. $10. Does the auto trader enter several markets at the same time? It does. It does. So there you go. Pretty cool, huh?